Sexual performance anxiety is something that is rarely spoken about, but affects every man at some point in their life. Given the amount of pressure that men receive around performance, it's no wonder why it is not openly spoken about and can be seen as a weakness. Sexual performance anxiety is caused by this. It's because this gets in the way of sexual arousal. I am someone that struggled with this for a long time, and it basically came down to stress. Sex is more than just a physical response, it's also tied to your emotions. And when you're stressed and worried, you can't focus on sex and you can't let your body get aroused. And when you're stressed and worried, you can't focus on sex and your body cannot get excited either. It may be just stress in your life in general, but more specifically, it's your performance in bed with whoever the partner is. Am I doing this right? Are they enjoying the sexual experience? What if they ask me to top? What if they ask me to bottom? Is my penis big enough? Etc, etc. There's an array of different things that can cause it. Even if you find someone sexually arousing, your state of mind can stop you completely from getting sexually aroused. And ironically, worrying about whether or not you can sexually please them is actually what's stopping you from doing it. I think that when people initially have the thoughts around sexual performance anxiety, even if they don't use that term, they often think about, old people that can't maintain erections and have to use Viagra and things like that. And that leads you down the path thinking that something biologically is wrong and you just need to take a pill or something and it will fix it. Basically, if you can still get aroused by masturbating or being by yourself, or you still wake up with an erection in the morning, that means biologically everything is fine. Your plumbing is working, so to speak, and the problem is up here. Stress hormones such as epinephrine and norepinephrine prepare your body for something called the flight or fight response, which many of you have probably heard of before. They're released to prepare your body for two things: to run or to confront a particular threat. Now, clearly, the partner that you want to sexually please is not a threat, which is why this is just counterproductive to intimacy. Stress hormones also constrict blood vessels, and therefore the blood is not going where it needs to be, which is your penis. As much as men don't like to admit it, we are emotional beings as well. Sexual performance anxiety can very quickly become a snowball effect, because it may just start with being a distraction in bed that you think about, and then it constantly keeps happening, and then you keep experiencing that negative stimulus, and it will eventually stop you from seeking out sexual situations altogether. You'll just avoid it, and hence it just gets worse and worse and worse. Just like in everyday life, when you come across a stressful situation, most people just want to avoid it. Then this turns a behavior and a stimulus that's meant to be pleasurable and desirable into something that is undesirable and stressful. Really, really bad situation to get into. I put my hand up and proudly say that I went through this period of my life, and I'm talking years, okay? And I came out on top at the end. And I'm not talking, it didn't happen every single time, but it was more often than not. And it was still there in the back of my mind constantly. And when you're thinking about it, that's just, again, adding to that snowball effect. There are a few ways you can help yourself getting out of this situation if you find that you are in it. Firstly, and I spoke about this the other day, is removing yourself from peer pressure. Peer pressure can set expectations, and if you don't meet them, it just stresses you out and it makes you jump to conclusions about things. Don't beat yourself up if you're not performing at a level that you think you should be, okay? You are you, and you do what you can do. You do what you enjoy. You do what you find pleasurable, what the other person finds pleasurable. You don't have to go beyond the limit even when you don't need to. And if the anxiety creeps back in, that's okay. Accept it. It's going to be there. It just reminds you that you're human. A very basic thing you can do is just in your everyday life, engage with things that you enjoy. Do hobbies that you enjoy more often. Improve your overall state of well-being, and you'll reduce stressful situations just in your everyday life. And probably the best piece of advice I ever received was to go with the flow and try and employ that into your everyday life as much as you can. Don't have expectations in the bedroom. Go with the flow. Be surprised. Feel the situation. Don't plan it. And that goes the same when the anxiety kicks in. Don't let it overcome you. Just accept that it's there. Communicate with your partner that it's there. And your partner's not going to get angry and kick you out of the bed and just, get fucking pissed off at you. And if they do, they're a bit of a fuckhead. Go with the flow in regards to just situations. Don't overthink stuff. Let the blood go where it needs to, not to your brain. If expecting sex is something that makes you anxious, then don't expect it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Either way, it's totally fine. Otherwise, you'll remain in that cycle of stress and it will just push you deeper. This is not something that's going to fix itself overnight, okay? It'll take a long time. It'll take steps, and it'll take as much as you like. Every step is an achievement. You need to remember that every step you are going in the right direction, okay? Even if you seem to overcome it, if you haven't maybe gotten professional help, it may come back and hit you later in life and then you're back to square one. Have you ever experienced sexual performance anxiety, or do you know someone that has? Do you have any techniques that you could recommend to help people try and overcome this problem? Let us know in the comments below. This is something that needs to be spoken about among men much, much more broadly and frequently. Thanks so much for watching my special series on gay sex this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know and I might be able to do it again sometime in the future. And until next time, that's a wrap.